The bathroom mirror in the college hostel was cracked down the side, the fluorescent light buzzing overhead, and there I was, standing in my roommate's oversized hoodie, my heart pounding like I'd just been caught cheating on an exam. My hair fell softer than it used to, my jawline looked gentler, and there was something in my eyes I'd never seen before. Not fear. Not confusion. Curiosity. My hands trembled as I leaned closer to the mirror, almost daring it to lie to me. "Is that me?" I whispered. I wasn't supposed to look like this. Not after one silly dare. Not after one night of laughter and bad decisions. And definitely not in a college where everyone thought they knew exactly who I was. That was the moment everything began to unravel, and strangely, come together at the same time. College had always been my safe disguise. I was the quiet guy. The dependable one. Always in jeans, neutral shirts, head down, grades up. Teachers liked me because I never caused trouble. Friends liked me because I never stood out. And my family? They liked me because I fit neatly into the version of a son they understood. No questions asked. No risks taken. Until that inter-college cultural fest. It started as a joke, the kind that happens when you're surrounded by friends who know you'll never say no. We were backstage, chaos everywhere, music blaring, makeup kits scattered, people running in half costumes. "We're short one performer," my friend Oriv said, panic in his voice. "The girls' skit needs someone. Just for tonight." Everyone looked around. Then, slowly, all eyes turned to me. "No," I said immediately. "Absolutely not." But they laughed. They begged. They promised it was just a costume. Just acting. Just lights and distance and anonymity. And somehow, against every instinct I had, I nodded. That night, behind a curtain, someone slipped a jipata over my shoulders. Someone else dabbed foundation onto my skin. My protests faded into nervous silence as the transformation happened faster than I could process. When I stepped on stage, under blinding lights, dressed as someone I'd never been allowed to imagine, the applause wasn't mocking. It was thunderous. And that scared me more than anything. The next morning, college didn't feel the same. I felt eyes on me everywhere, at the canteen, in the corridor, outside the lecture hall. People whispered. Some smiled. Some stared a little too long. "Hey," a girl from my class said hesitantly, blocking my path. "You were really convincing yesterday." Convincing. I laughed awkwardly. It was just acting. But inside, my stomach twisted. Because it didn't feel like acting. It felt like something that had been waiting patiently for years had finally been given permission to breathe. At home, during weekend calls, my mother said, "You sound different. Are you eating properly?" Yes, I lied. Everything's normal. Nothing was normal. My clothes felt wrong now. Too stiff. Too loud. My body moved differently, and I kept catching myself adjusting my posture, softening my voice, unconsciously mirroring the version of me I'd seen on stage. I hated myself for noticing. And I loved myself for it too. It became my secret. Late nights, when my roommates slept, I'd lock the door and open my phone gallery. Photos from the fest. Screenshots friends had shared. That one mirror selfie someone took backstage. My eyes lined, lips slightly glossed, expression unsure but alive. I started small. Borrowed a scarf. Tried it on. Took it off. Tried again. The first time I applied lip balm instead of my usual nothing at all, my heart raced like I was committing a crime. I practiced smiling, soft, hesitant smiles, watching how my face responded. "Don't get used to this," I told myself. But I did. I experimented with my voice, whispering sentences into the darkness. I learned how fabric felt different when it flowed instead of clung. How sitting differently changed how I felt inside. How names sounded different in my head. I didn't pick a new one. Not yet. Every discovery came with guilt. Every moment of excitement followed by fear. What if someone walked in? What if I liked this too much? What if this wasn't temporary? But the mirror never judged me. It just reflected back someone who looked relieved. One Saturday, everything shifted. Oriv knocked on my door. "We're going to the mall. Come with us." "I'm tired," I said quickly. He smirked. "Relax. As yourself." I froze. Then he added, gently, "Or whoever you want to be." That afternoon, I stepped out wearing jeans that hugged differently, a loose top that hid and revealed in equal measure. Nothing dramatic. Nothing obvious. But every step felt louder. At the mall, a shop assistant smiled at me and said, "Can I help you?" Sorry." I expected humiliation. Instead, I felt warmth. We laughed. We tried sunglasses. I held a bag I'd never thought I'd carry. And for the first time, the world didn't collapse when I let myself exist differently. It expanded. Strangers were kinder than I expected. My fear softened into something like confidence. I wasn't pretending anymore. I was experimenting, learning, becoming. And somewhere between the food court and the escalator, I realized something terrifying and beautiful. I didn't want to go back. The confrontation came sooner than I hoped. A professor called me into his office after class. My heart sank. "I've noticed changes," he said calmly. "Your demeanor. Your confidence." I braced myself. Then he smiled. "Whatever you're discovering, don't let fear stop you. College is for becoming." I walked out shaking. That evening, my friends gathered around me. Questions hung heavy in the air. I took a deep breath. "I don't have all the answers," I said. "But I know I'm done hiding." Silence. Then one by one, they nodded. I didn't transform overnight. But I stopped apologizing. I dressed how I felt. I spoke how I felt. I allowed myself complexity. And slowly, the campus adjusted, not because it had to, but because I showed up honestly. The mirror in the hostel bathroom still has that crack. But now, when I look into it, I don't search for who I used to be. I see who I'm becoming. And if you're watching this, feeling that same pull, that same quiet truth whispering inside you, know this. You're not broken. You're not late. And you're not alone. The first thing I learned after I stopped hiding was this: freedom doesn't arrive quietly. It knocks. Loudly. At the worst possible time. Monday morning, the campus gates felt taller than usual. My backpack sat lighter on my shoulders, but my chest felt heavy with awareness. I'd chosen my outfit carefully, nothing dramatic, nothing defiant. Soft colors. Clean lines. Still me, just more honest. As I walked past the security desk, the guard hesitated. Then smiled. "Good morning." 2 words. Normal. Ordinary. And yet my knees almost buckled. Because for the first time, the world didn't argue with who I was trying to be. Classes were different now. Not because people stared more, but because I noticed less. My attention wasn't constantly split between learning and hiding. I raised my hand without overthinking my voice. I laughed without rehearsing how it might sound. I crossed my legs without snapping them back into place like I'd been caught doing something wrong. During a group discussion, a girl leaned toward me and whispered, "You explain things really clearly. You should present." Old me would have declined instantly. New me paused, then nodded. "Okay." Standing at the front of the class, marker in hand, I felt something steady rise up inside me. Not confidence exactly, more like alignment. Like my body and my thoughts were finally agreeing on who was in charge. When the presentation ended, there was applause. Not loud. Not dramatic. But real. Of course, not everything was gentle acceptance. The messages started that night. Anonymous DMs, half curious, half cruel. "What are you supposed to be now? Is this for attention? Pick a side." I stared at my phone, fingers hovering, heart racing. Then I put it face down. For once, I didn't need to explain myself to people who only saw me as a concept instead of a human being. Instead, I opened my wardrobe. I'd started organizing it differently, no longer separating borrowed from mine. Fabrics hung together now. Colors spoke to each other. I tried on an outfit I'd been too scared to wear outside before, adjusting it slowly, deliberately. In the mirror, I met my own gaze. Stay, I told myself. Don't disappear again. The Cultural Society announced auditions for the annual college play. I almost ignored the notice. Almost. Oriv caught me staring at the poster. You're thinking about it. I'm really not. He raised an eyebrow. You are. The audition hall buzzed with nervous energy. Names were called. People performed monologues, dances, songs. When my turn came, my hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't. I chose a monologue about becoming. About standing between expectations and truth. When I finished, the room was quiet. The director cleared his throat. Thank you. I walked out convinced I'd embarrassed myself. 2 days later, the cast list went up. My name was there. A lead role. Rehearsals were intense. Long hours. Emotional scenes. Costume fittings that made my heart race for reasons I couldn't always explain. During one fitting, the costume designer stepped back and smiled softly. This suits you. I swallowed. You think so? I know so. Wearing that costume, tailored, intentional, unapologetic, I didn't feel like I was dressing up as someone else. I felt like I was being introduced properly. Backstage on opening night, nerves crackled through me. The curtain rustled. The audience murmured. What if they laugh? I whispered. Oriv squeezed my hand. Then we keep going. The lights hit. The first line left my lips. And the laughter that followed wasn't cruel, it was earned. The silence that followed wasn't judgment, it was attention. When the final scene ended, the applause rose like a wave. I bowed, chest heaving, eyes stinging. Somewhere in the crowd, I imagined my old self watching. And smiling. The real confrontation came at home. Semester break. Living room. My parents sitting across from me, concern etched into their faces. We've heard things, my mother said gently. People talk. I took a breath so deep it felt like diving underwater. I'm still your child, I said. I'm just more myself. Silence stretched. Then my father spoke, voice low but steady. Are you happy? The question cracked something open. Yes, I whispered. I am. My mother reached for my hand. Hesitant, then firm. We may need time, she said. But we won't stop loving you. I cried harder than I ever had. Back on campus, life didn't suddenly become perfect. But it became mine. I found friends who saw me clearly. Strangers who used the right words without being asked. Days where I felt powerful, and days where doubt crept back in. And I learned something important. Becoming yourself isn't a single brave moment.